Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me? Over.
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? How are you doing? How is everybody out there on the interweb land? The show is brought to you by the folks at the Money Pro. Hey, at the Money Pro, what they do is they provide and put some very specific strategies and techniques together to help you be successful, not only on your finances, but also protecting what you have. If something makes sense and you want to learn more, the way it works is very easy. And the reason why they created this program is because obviously during COVID and everything else going on, there was a lot of things that people were concerned about the market. People were concerned about job security and preserving their capital and really, if they were going to achieve their financial goals. So, the way it works is really easy. You could go at meetthemoneypro.com, go to their website. There's a 3-minute video that you can watch right there, get more information. And if something makes sense and spark, and that, which I'm sure it will, you get a no commitment, get a free 1-hour strategy session where they'll give you some very specific strategies and techniques that will make you that much aware and be able to implement right away. So get yourself right there. No commitment, no pressure. If it makes sense, great. If not, that's okay too. So check it out. All right. This show is also brought to you by, the folks at the VA, which is the only system that we may have, and that it's good. But, the system is not perfect, but that's okay. It's better to have something than to have nothing. So if you haven't submitted a claim or anything of the sort, give them check them out, because now is the time to apply and get your, permanent and total. You can get everything else, done and careful while you're there. So. Hey, sorry about that, folks. We're right here in Dallas, and the internet connection is not the best. But hey, nonetheless, we gotta make it happen. So hey, put in your claim, go on the VA website, start the process. If you need help with anything, please give us give me a ring. I'll be more than glad to walk you through the process and get you going. Check out some of the content that I put out also on TikTok, as well as YouTube and everything else, some shorts. There's a lot of good information out there. And those of you who are listening to the show right here through Facebook, by all means, please go ahead and go to the web. I have over 7,500 followers on Facebook. Help me out with the analytics, and go on the TikTok channels and everything else. It's all right there on the show description provided. Just like, subscribe, and follow. Help me boost the analytics. Okay. Get the numbers crunching. Okay. So, hey, in this show, we're all about freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, among many different things in regards that the Constitution provides for us as our rights as Americans. So if you like what you hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Go to my other platforms as well. And if you don't, then perhaps check something out from Sitchradio.com, who have been amazing partners. And if you want to learn anything and everything in regards to marketing, coaching, whatever else, Brian Colburn is the man, and I highly recommend that you get with him, because he is an amazing individual. All right. So that's pretty much all the pleasantries out, folks, right here on the show. So I was kind of thinking of man, what is it that that about the field that that we don't do? As basically, we're diving deep today into an actual a field operations for my fellow civilian. It's like the ultimate test of sanity when you think about it. Not only sanity, but survival, uh, strategic snack smuggling, among others. Because I mean, let's be real. There's some things we did in the field that will make our civilian counterparts basically cringe and run over the hill. I mean, in today's day and age, I mean, it will make them cry their milk and oat lattes and stuff. So, uh, I mean, when you're out in the field, I mean, in all honesty, hygiene is optional. Now, we can sit here, uh, yeah, being hygienic is important and everything, but when you're on the go and on the move, depending on the field exercise, I mean, taking a shower and all those things are a luxury. I mean, seriously, I went weeks without a shower when I deployed to Iraq the first time during the push. I think that was a logistical nightmare. For any armed forces, is because we thought it was going to be kind of sort of maybe like in the early 90s, which was a very short war or conflict, which only lasted like 30 31 days, with Iraq against Iraq, the first time. This time was a little different, but nonetheless, even when we go to field training exercises, I mean, showering is really optional. I mean, you bring in, a lot of us will bring a lot of baby wipes, um, or even field deodorant like dirt. I mean, you name it. I mean, people did it. When us as mechanics, and shout out to one of the guys that I deployed to Iraq. Um, you know, Back then in '03, yeah, around '03 timeframe, Gojo, the company because I was a mechanic throughout my career. Gojo started making baby wipes, so they would sell them in these industrial size buckets that you could take out, one wipey at a time. And obviously, if those of you who have worked and turned any wrenches, you know that obviously Gojo's products smell like orange. So, I mean, Gojo wipes became not only, showering, but also to use the toilet, to clean yourself, all that stuff. And a lot of us actually, you get pretty savvy. We taking a shower with canteens. I mean, even to this day, I mean, I can, honestly brag and say that I am a pro at taking in a shower with 2 bottles of water. I mean, literally 2 12-ounce bottles of water. I can take a shower. Case in point, when my buddy Steve, uh, he and we did a trip down on this bicycle. It's called the San Juan Hut to Hut. It's if you could, and for veterans, it's free. If you're a combat vet, you go to sanjuanhut2hut.com, or you can Google it. The whole thing is free. So yeah, if you go on there and check them out, you can actually go on these trips. Anyways, what I did is, obviously it was a week-long bicycle ride, and there was no showers in the stops. So I mean, I was taking showers pretty much every day with just two. I brought up my canteens, and I made it happen. So you can do that because I mean, did you ever think, I mean, man, anybody bring cologne out to the field, or did you know anybody like that? I mean, I remember, again, I started out enlisted, but I also retired as an officer. So, you know, um, it's funny how when you think of it that, a lot of us, some people bring cologne and whatever the case. Okay, so, but let's talk about a little bit on the gourmet side of things. Eating, the things that you eat out there in the field. I mean, MREs is one of them, um, which I don't, which I, it could be a double-edged sword. I mean, it could really open you up, or it could really, seal the doors, so to speak. I mean, it it depends on the individual. So you just have to make sure that obviously, hey, again, bring a lot of baby wipes, and make sure that uh, you know whatever happens. You know what I'm saying. So again, it could go two ways. But uh, there's some great MREs out there, and I think I've talked about this on another show. And very, very, like there's an actual cookbook for MREs. So some people get really, really good at making, mixing it all up. But things inside those MREs become like worth its weight in gold. Like chili mac or jalapeno with cheese, or as we like to call them, jalapeno cheese. That becomes worth its weight in gold. So people will barter trade, and a lot of, we call it, rat fucking a box. That means that, we went inside the box and just kind of rummaged through the box. And they have the rummage box where people throw what they don't want from MREs. You throw it in there, and those become snacks and whatever else the case may be. But you know, it, eating an MRE is like playing MRE roulette. Uh, will it be edible or will it be explosive? I don't know. Back in the day, some of the MREs, they didn't come with dates and expirations and everything else that, um, these things, how they are nowadays. Okay. They, MREs nowadays are kind of pretty challenging. So, or really good. Back then, you didn't know. So one way that you could tell, how the date was, you'll see on the candy, on the M&Ms, and that will tell you how long, how, if the M&Ms were expired, then that will tell you, hey, you're pretty much eating something that is kind of old. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's like playing, MRE Russian roulette, and obviously, you also got the prison burrito or Ranger. You can make, some people got pretty, prison burrito, Ranger pudding, which I really like. The Ranger pudding was really, really good, especially if you mix it up with the milkshake. Basically, you take cocoa powder and the creamer and the sugar, and you mix it all up in there. And if you were lucky enough to have an MRE that brought a milkshake like strawberry or vanilla, you can mix all that stuff in there as well. Um, you can do that because members make an entire feast with a hot pack and desperation. Uh, you know, so I remember when I was going through officer candidate school, this one guy, his first name was Marcos. What the hell was his first name? I don't remember. Obviously we all go by last names, but this dude, we were going through officer school. We had to go to field training operations, and the guy was a reservist, and he hated, he didn't need MREs. This dude brought a bunch of, Chef Boyardee cans, and so he had this pack, and we were rucking it, you know, all through Quantico, through the wilderness of Quantico, Virginia, and this dude was lugging around, this heavy ass pack of MREs. Of Chef Boyardee and all that stuff. So it wasn't until the middle of the night where he decided to empty his pack and bury all that stuff out there. So I wonder if maybe he's still in the wilderness of Quantico, Virginia, or maybe some lieutenants have found these Chef Boyardee cans, among other things, buried all over there. So just some of the things that makes you that you think, as I'm doing this show and I'm thinking about it, it's like, wow, I can't believe that stuff really happened. What else? And you become really good at sleeping in just about anywhere or places that you're shooting that you should not. You can pull up dozens of stuff on the internet. Marines sleeping on top of you know, um, you know, cots this on top of each other. There's a video on Facebook that I saw, Marines in the back of this truck, just kind of spread out like bodies sleeping all over. But you become really good at sleeping anywhere. I mean, ditches, holes, Humvees, rocks, upright like a zombie. Doesn't really matter. I mean, in Iraq, I slept on the hood of my Humvee because obviously, one, I didn't want to get bitten by scorpions or just any camel spiders. Look up what a camel spider looks like, and that'll tell you the reason why. Another thing is putting on your shoes. You always turn your boots upside down and you shake them, because of the simple fact that you don't want to basically stick your foot inside your boot and then have a little friend waiting for you there because it's nice and warm and cozy in there, including snakes. Okay, so yeah, we have a uncanny talent, which I still use to this day, of catching up 30-second naps in the middle of nowhere. Case in point, I was obviously you guys know that as I posted on my Facebook channel that I'm here in Dallas. I'm taking care of my daughter who's been on the show, and she just had shoulder surgery. I've been taking care of her, and I take her to work. I pick her up because she can't drive yet because her arm is on the sling. So, when I was, on one of my stops, when I went to pick her up, I put the car in park, and, it was going to take her, a little bit for her to come out from her job. And, all I remember is I opened my eyes and she was already standing there knocking on the window. But I felt so refreshed right after that. It was crazy. So you haven't really slept until you shared a hooch with somebody, for a couple of hours, because you're both freezing or because it's a huge sandstorm in the middle of nowhere. And the point to that is that basically, back in the day, they would give us these, they would give you half of a tent, so, for you and your bunkie so, each of you would snap your tent, your halves together with your stakes. And, now you had a bunkie and a hooch, right? Years later, as technology and, things got smaller and microfibers and all that stuff, now we have these small tents that basically they fit like this in your pack and they're not that heavy. So obviously, but, sometimes you still, you got a bunkie or whatever, depending on what supply gave you or how many tents, are out there. But, you get really comfortable and snugly with one another. And there's some unspoken rules and some ridiculous rituals, like losing one and walking like your whole career is off balance, because gear adrift is Marines don't steal. We're just trying to find our shit that we lost at some other point. So, case in point, gear adrift is a gift. What do I mean by that? Is basically that don't leave your shit laying around, because somebody else might find it and it becomes theirs to complete whatever they were missing before. So, which that happens that happens so much. At one point in time, when I was still on active duty, I mean, I could yell in my garage, 10, and about 90% of that shit would stand at attention, because it was all gear and no military stuff. I mean, obviously, before I got out, I ended up turning all that stuff back in. But, don't leave your shit laying around. And the other thing is weird. It's like your boot bands. It's like you lose a boot band. Your boot bands is it's this rubbery thing that you lace especially for Marines, that you lace around your shoe at the top of your boot, and you cuff your trousers under this thing to, basically, so that way you don't have access, because technically out in the field, things crawl through your pants and whatever. So we blouse our boots. The other services, they tug their pant legs into their boot, which is the nastiest fucking thing that you'll ever see and do. So, but yeah, you lose. It's like I don't know why you lose. Why do you lose boot bands out in the field too? It's kind of weird. And then your poncho. Oh my God, your whoopee. This thing is like. There's a reason why there's a lot of stores that you can look this up on Facebook. There's poncho liner stores that make poncho liner jackets out of your poncho liner. Your poncho liner is this thing back in the day with the old style um, field sleeping bags, which were huge and bulky and heavy as hell. It's not like the stuff that you get right now. I mean, anyways, so you would get this poncho. They call it a poncho liner, and which actually no, I'm sorry, the poncho liner. You could line your your poncho. You could put you put your poncho, and you could put this liner under your poncho to can make it warmer, right? Anyways, with the old style ponchos, but they still issue out. They to this day they still issue out these poncho liners, which you can make a ranger sack. It could be a blanket. It's a makeshift. It could be a toilet stall. To give you some privacy. I mean, this thing has multi uses. I think I think I gotta ask my wife. I know she's listening to the show, but I gotta look through my stuff and see if I still got my poncho liner. Um, another name for it is my bitch. I mean, this thing. This I had a poncho liner for the same one, and this thing went to Iraq, Africa. I mean, this thing went with me everywhere. So the sacred poncho. The other thing is that not pacho. That's me. The poncho is a man. That poncho is the shit. And then the field games. I mean, who can make the and there's always a competition as to who can make the most. She's man, she burn. She just the trophy just confirmed. Thanks, babe. That nope, we don't have any more. I have her. I'm sure that's what she wanted to type next. She's the comfort. Uh, but the other thing is that there's this unwritten competition as to who can make the best coffee, and I don't mean by like the most tastiest. Which, by the way, I'm shout out to Matt Max. I still got the mug that you gave me when I got promoted to 3. My boy, thank you. Salute, my friend. But yeah, there's always this unwritten, like who can make the best coffee. And again, I don't mean by like the best tasting or smooth, whatever. No, it's like the most stomach. Man, I can't talk today. Stomach liner, ripping, paint removing, keep you up for weeks. Most bitter and just almost undrinkable coffee. And we all drink it, by the way. But I am not kidding. I mean, it's like who can make, the best. And obviously, another rule is, hey, if you make the last cup of Joe, you make some more. I mean, it's if you don't, I mean, God help you if you get caught. And obviously, people play MRE poker. I mean, we use the food inside the MRE as monies as well. Jalapeno cheese, jalapeno. Uh, the other things that we play, depending on which beautiful area for the Marine Corps, either 29 Palms or Arizona, you also got to play the tarantula and the scorpion fight. I mean, those are always a fun one. Or in Iraq, obviously, if you're brave enough to catch a fucking camel spider, that's another fun game. Obviously, we tell Marines don't play with the wilderness, but some dumbass will try to catch a snake. It does happen more than often as well. Obviously, hazing is amazing. Yes, that's it's one of those written rules. Make the new guy do dumb shit. Find the brake light fluid, a can of beep, box of grid squares. Guess who lost their weapon, and now we got to go find this fucking thing in the middle of nowhere. I mean, those are always fun. And obviously, the other games like playing spades. Spades is an amazing game too. If somebody will bring dominoes, I mean, man, I learned to play a lot of good shit when I was in the military. Is spades, dominoes. Never got into hearts, but hearts is kind of like spades, I guess. Um, Obviously, the one guy who mimics the officer in charge. You know, I'm sure that I have. When me being the warrant officer, I know there were plenty of people that used to mimic me when I wasn't around. So, but the shit does happen. Obviously, I'm just looking at, you know, or you know, or guess who's not gonna have a girlfriend or wife, or by the time they get back. Obviously, we get those things because people just here's some other things. Just the contrasting difference between us and civilians is, and that obviously civilians just wouldn't understand. Like, you know, try explaining to somebody digging up a foxhole in the rain for 3 hours. For 3 hours was somehow kind of like was a bonding experience, and explain to them, depending on where you're at, whether you're in the East Coast, and how sometimes if you hit if you're hitting clay, you're not and after 3 hours you just made like a 1 foot ditch or something like that. It's crazy. And then explain to them how this foxhole has this one hole in there that you got to dig in an angle about, I don't know, almost a meter, or so, including your e-tool, that in the event that a grenade is thrown inside that freaking thing, that the purpose of that hole is to kick the grenade in there so that it absorbs and diverts the explosion, while each of you go into one side or the other, protecting yourself from the blast. I mean, try to think, fathom, if you never served, just try to think that these are things that are taught and based on fact, because if it wasn't done, obviously they wouldn't teach it. But just think about that for a second, just doing that, and obviously, we also brag about peeing inside a bottle as you're driving a vehicle with extreme accuracy. I mean, try putting that in a fucking interview. Bring that up. Which, by the way, shout out to David East. Hopefully, he's listening to the show. I mean, my man really perfected that craft in Iraq as an LVS vehicle operator. I mean, the dude was a genius. He actually came up with a way that he had a bathroom on the go while he was driving. I mean, it was great. But hey, look, I can pin it. I can't, gotta brag. I can pee in a can with extreme accuracy, while driving too. I mean, it's a skill that I'll never forget. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And also, think about this. I mean, shout out to Steggy. He was another reservist, but I mean, a lot of us have family. When we were in the move, obviously going to the bathroom is. Maybe the show should be called "Going to the Bathroom While in the Field" or in a deployment. But a lot of us learn. We get pretty crafty because squatting and digging what they call a cat hole to bury your waste. That does, we also taught that, and how far away from where you're sleeping. Anyways, but you use an ammunition crate, and this became the caca box. Let's just say that's kind of like your toilet. You dug your hole, put this box on top of it, so that way you don't have to do the whole Gandhi squat, so to speak. And you could just sit down and just kind of think with ease. But yeah, it's just think about that for for a second. But I mean, we remember this box that we had, and you can see it on the smokestack of the Humvee. It will be propped on there, and they say, hey, if you need to use it, make sure you bring it back. I mean, we towed this thing around Iraq, so, but what's it, it's okay. As a matter of fact, do me a favor, just throw on DM me on the show, or put it right there on the show on the comments. What's your weirdest field story? Bonus points if it involves MREs, MRE explosions. You know what I'm talking about. Get the heater and some and a water bottle. Camel spiders or unauthorized naps. All right. I'll see if I can send you a little gift or something, but it's got to be a really, really good story. By the way, I mean, I almost started. They almost thought we were taking fire because I threw an MRE explosion bottle, and I think it's when this is when I went on the Horn of not the Horn of Africa, but Operation Joint Task Force in 1996, 95, 96 when I went to Africa. So it's got to top that. All right. But, field ops were muddy. Fuck. Oh, man. They were miserable. I mean, downright insane sometimes. I mean, it was just like, and if you're with artillery, man, I'm so sorry for you. I have my heart goes out to you. My last stint was with an artillery unit, and a lot of your artillery guys, you guys love going to the field, but man, that sucked. I mean, it was downright miserable. And yet somehow, but we miss all this stuff. I talk about it over here, and I kind of get all reminiscent. I reminisce, a lot of that stuff. So, tell me your best story, okay? Nothing, because I'm serious. Nothing builds character than, than good stories like sleeping under the stars and rifle and having Pop Tart. I mean, seriously. I mean, that rifle slept with me. It was like it was like my comfort and everything. I mean, yeah, maybe we're crazy like that, but you know, hey, and when shit hits the fan, I mean, we're always ready and send bullets downrange. I mean, those are some good times, man. It's really good. So, but yeah, but let's end it with this. Let's make sure that reminisce some good times, and then we can go from there. So, but I think this is a good note to end the show over here. So before I sign off, like I always say, if you've been ruminating, having a challenging time, reach out to me, reach out to the show, reach out to somebody, reach out to a buddy, reach out to the Military One Source, TRICARE, Suicide Hotline. There's a lot of resources out there, because you don't want to be a statistic, because as much as we talk nowadays, about help and mental health and everything, I mean, we're still falling short on that, because nobody here wants you to be a statistic. So let me help you out if I can. And if not, I mean, there's a lot of, again, this, as scrappy as the time it is that you're going through, and I'm telling myself, because these couple of days have been kind of rough for me as well. But the love and support of my family has helped me through it, and now I'm on the other side. So, we still want you here. So, thanks for hanging out on our show. Don't forget to hydrate, change your socks. Don't eat the lemon pound cake. Take Motrin if you're in pain, and we'll see you next time. So, Aistamas, Daisaki, Ara, get some. I'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.